कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय गौरानिताय जय कृष्ण बलराम 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 जय ललिता विशाख जय राधे श्याम ललिता विशाख जय राधे श्याम जय ललिता विशाख जय राधे श्याम ललिता विशाख जय राधे श्याम जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतशिशिमतपै चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवत्सदि गौर भक्त वृंद की गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from chapter 18, which is entitled Renunciation, the Perfection of Renunciation. Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation is the 18th chapter of Gita. So today we'll be doing the 12th verse of 18th chapter. aniṣṭam miśraṁ miśram ca tri-vidhaṁ karmaṇaḥ phalam bhavati atyāgināṁ pretya nato sannyāsinām kvacit aniṣṭam miśraṁ ca tri-vidhaṁ karmaṇaḥ phalam bhavati atyāgināṁ pretya nato sannyāsinām kvacit aniṣṭam miśraṁ ca tri-vidhaṁ karmaṇaḥ phalam bhavati atyāgināṁ pretya nato sannyāsinām kvacit
aniṣṭam miśraṁ ca tri-vidhaṁ karmaṇaḥ phalam atyāgināṁ pretya nato sannyāsinām kvacit aniṣṭam miśraṁ ca tri-vidhaṁ karmaṇaḥ phalam atyāgināṁ pretya
nato sannyāsinām kvacit
aniṣṭam tri-vidhaṁ karmaṇaḥ phalam atyāgināṁ pretya
bhavati nato sannyāsinām kvacit
aniṣṭam miśraṁ ca tri-vidhaṁ karmaṇaḥ phalam bhavati atyāgināṁ pretya
nato sannyāsinām kvacit. Okay. Aniṣṭam, leading to hell. Iṣṭam, leading to heaven. Miśram, mixed. Cha, and. Tri-vidhaṁ, of three kinds. Karmaṇaḥ, of work. Phalam, the result. Bhavati, comes. Atyāgināṁ, for those who are not renounced. Pretya, after death. Na, not. Tu, but. sannyāsinām for the renounced order, kvacit at any time. Translation. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy. Translation with repetition. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy. Purport. A person in Kṛṣṇa consciousness acting in knowledge of his relationship with Kṛṣṇa is always liberated. Therefore, he does not have to enjoy or suffer the results of his acts after death. Ajnānatimirandasya jnānāñjana salakaya chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Sri Chaitanya-manobhishtam sthapitam yena bhutale swayam rupakada mahyam dadati svapadantika. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta-padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrachatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Kṛṣṇa Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Kṛṣṇa Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanasute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare. So this 18th chapter is the last chapter of Gita. Entire Gita has got how many chapters? 18 chapters. And Gita is divided into how many parts? 3 parts. Which is the first part? Karma Yoga. And the middle 6? Bhakti Yoga. And the last 6 is Jnana Yoga. So Bhagavad-Gita has got how many verses? 700 verses. And it is divided into 3 parts. So who spoke Bhagavad-Gita? Bhagavan Sri Kṛṣṇa spoke to Arjuna. Why did he speak to Arjuna? Why not to anyone else like Duryodhana or someone else? Arjuna's friend, devotee, and he was never envious. He was never envious. So Arjuna was his dear friend. 4th chapter, 3rd verse, Krishna says, Sayevayam mayate dyaha yoga proktaha puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hetaduttamam. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. And then in 9th chapter, very first verse, Krishna says, in the 4th chapter, 3rd verse, he is saying Bhakta and Sakha, he is his friend and devotee. And another qualification that Arjuna possessed was he was never envious of Krishna. In 9th chapter, very first verse, Krishna says, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshyamyana suyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajnatva mokshase shubhat. Because I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge, because you are never envious of me. I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge. Because Arjuna was never envious. That's a very important qualification to understand Bhagavad-Gita. People who are envious, Krishna will never reveal to them. Naham prakashah sarvasya yogamaya samaruta. Mudhoyam nabhijanati loko mamajam avyayam. For such people, I will never reveal myself. I cover them with the yogamaya curtain. So like that. So now, in the 18th chapter, mainly these first 12 verses are concentrating on Karma Yoga. Like Krishna already spoke of Karma Yoga in the first 6 chapters. Then Krishna spoke about Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. So actually Bhagavad-Gita is finished in 17 chapters. Entire Gita is finished in 17 chapters already. But 18th chapter is Kṛṣṇa is giving an overview of the entire Gita in 18th chapter. He is summarizing what he has already spoken in all the 17 chapters. He is summarizing that in 18th chapter. It's a repetition of what he already spoke in a more clear. Like Kṛṣṇa is mainly in every chapter of Gita, if you see, Kṛṣṇa is definitely touching upon bhakti. Even in karma part, in jnana part, in bhakti part, of course. So in every chapter, Kṛṣṇa is saying that bhakti, even though karma and jnana without bhakti, they are dead. They have no life. So karma should be added with little bhakti, or jnana should be added with bhakti. Only then there's life to those yogas. So ultimately Kṛṣṇa is telling that in 6th chapter he ended the karma yoga section. So he's saying in 6th chapter 47th verse, Yoginām api sarveshām madgate nantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamamataha. Of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself and renders transcendental loving service unto me, I am intimately united with me, and they are intimately united with me in yoga, and such yogi is the highest of all. That is my opinion, Kṛṣṇa says. So 6th chapter, so what is this karma yoga? Arjuna was very much reluctant to do his karma. Why did he think? Because he thought that if he fights and kills all the people on the war field, then he'll have to incur sinful reactions. So he thought, I might as well go to forest and renounce everything and go to forest so that I don't have to face any reaction. But did Kṛṣṇa say that, yes, Arjuna, you can go to forest so that you can evade your reaction, so you don't have to worry about all that? Did Kṛṣṇa say that? No. Kṛṣṇa said in 3rd chapter 4th verse, Na karmaṇā manārambhān naishkarmyam puruṣosnute na ca sannyāsinām deva siddhim samadhigacchati. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So just by renouncing the activity, so what we really need to understand here is, activity, some people they completely renounce the activity. That is not actually recommended. What is recommended is acting in the mood of renunciation. We should not renounce the activity itself. We should act in the mood of renunciation. Action should not be given up, but action in renunciation. You have to renounce. In the renounced, detached way, you should act. You should not give up the activity itself. Why? Because why we should not give up activity? In the 3rd chapter 5th verse, Kṛṣṇa says, Nahi kaschit shanamapi jato tishtatya karma krit karyate havashava karma sarva prakriti jair gunai. Says, Nahi kaschit shanamapi jato tishtatya karma krit karyate havashava karma sarva prakriti jair gunai. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the modes he has acquired from the 3 modes of material nature. No one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. The nature of the soul is to be active. This is very, very important point to understand. The nature of the soul is to be always active. We cannot be inactive at any point in time. So even though Arjuna wants to renounce and go to forest, still he has to eat, he has to do his activities. So every action has a reaction. Every action has a reaction. So that is the worry that many a times people, they renounce activities thinking that if I do that activity, I'll get a reaction. So better if I renounce, then I don't have to face any reaction. But Kṛṣṇa is saying that, he is saying, Na karmaṇā manārambhān naishkarmyam puruṣosnute na ca sannyāsinām deva siddhim samadhigacchati. Not by merely abstaining from work can one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection. So then we cannot give up activity. Because by nature we are active. We cannot be inactive at any point in time. We cannot not act. We have to act. So what sort of activity we have to do so that we don't get bondage? We don't get reactions. We become free from that bondage. So Kṛṣṇa very nicely says in 2nd chapter 50th verse also, he says that buddhi yukto jahati ha ubhe sukrita dushkrute tasmad yogaya yujjasva yoga karmashu kaushalam. An intelligent person, what does he do? He acts in Krishna consciousness and rids himself of all good and bad activities. So in the second chapter 50th verse, Krishna says that buddhi yukto jahati ha ubhe sukrita dushkrute tasmad yogaya yujjasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad activities even in this life. Therefore strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. So instead of giving up the activity, do the activity in a renounced mood, and further when you advance, you connect that activity to Kṛṣṇa. Then there is no reaction. In 3rd chapter 9th verse, very nicely Kṛṣṇa explains, Yagnārthāt karmaṇonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So what is Arjuna's worry? If I work, I'll get reaction. So Kṛṣṇa is telling, do karma yoga. Karma means fruitive activity, you get reaction. If you do karma yoga, what is that? In the beginning, you act in a renounced way, but as you advance, when you renounce, then your purification is happening, then you will come to a stage of bhakti wherein you engage all your activities for the pleasure of Kṛṣṇa. Then what happens? Kṛṣṇa says, Yagnārthāt karmaṇonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Listen to this. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, what happens? Work causes bondage in this material world. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duty for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain free from bondage. What is our worry? If I do the work, I'll get bondage. So, I'll not work. So, that's not going to help you to evade reaction. You will still get reaction because you are still doing activity. But how can you evade that reaction? By acting for the pleasure of Kṛṣṇa. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, any work that we do out of that causes bondage. So, because the nature of the soul is to be active, we have to act, we cannot not act, we have to act. So, we have only 2 choices. We don't have 100 choices, we have only 2 choices. What is the 2 choices? One is to work for our own pleasure, and one is to work for Maya, one is to work for Kṛṣṇa. Only 2 choices, there are no 100 choices. Only 2. If you work for Maya, then you will have to keep on transmigrating again and again and again. That is why we have to give up the fruitive activity. We have to renounce the fruits of our action. Why are we transmigrating? Shariram yadavapnoti yakcha pitkramatishvaraha grihitvaitani samyati vayur gandhani vashayat. The living entities carries different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aromas. Thus he quits one kind of body and he takes another. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yavvanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuhyati. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So why is this transmigration is happening? Because we are attached to the fruits of our activities. So that is the root cause of that is why entire Gita is focusing that give up the fruits of your activities. No? Be detached, do the detached work. So that way you know your heart is getting purified. Then you get knowledge. And by knowledge you will get, you are getting higher, you are getting elevated. Then with the knowledge and devotion you will get liberated. That's why it's very important to do the prescribed duties. Very important to do prescribed duties. So today we will be covering this 18th chapter, starting from the first little bit of recap of what happened from the first verse. So, 1 minute. So 18th chapter is entitled Conclusion, the Perfection of Renunciation. Arjuna uvacha sannyāsasya mahabāho tattvamiccāmi veditum tyagasya cha hrishikesha prithakeshe nishudana. Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, sannyasa. O killer of the Keshi demon, master of the senses. So here Arjuna is addressing Kṛṣṇa as O mighty armed Mahabaho, and also Keshi Nishudana, O killer of the Keshi demon, and Hrishikesha. Kṛṣṇa is known as master of the senses. So because Kṛṣṇa killed the demon Keshi, so he is called Keshi Nishudana. So the doubts are compared to demon. Keshi was a demon. Kṛṣṇa killed the Keshi demon. So similarly, the doubts are compared to demons, and Arjuna wants Kṛṣṇa to kill the demon of the doubt that has arisen in his mind. What is that? I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, tyaga, and the renounced order of life, sannyasa. O killer of the Keshi demon, master of the senses. So he wants to clarify whether what is sannyasa and what is tyaga. Sri Bhagavan uvacha kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu sarva karma phalatyagam prahustyagam vichakshana. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life, sannyasa, and giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, tyaga. So the Supreme Personality, the giving up of activities that are based on material desire, that is what we have to give up. That is what the great learned men call renounced order of life, sannyasa. So there are two types of karma here. What is that? Kamyanam, it's kamya karma. There is one type of karma is kamya karma. The other karma is nitya karma. So nitya karma we all have to do every day, like we have to wake up, we have to take bath, and we have all this nitya karma we have to do. And also like it is prescribed that we have to do the sandhya vandana, like these are all nitya karmas we have to do. And then there is kamya karma. Kamya karma means we have some desires to be fulfilled, so we do many yajnas, sacrifices to get those desires. Like for example, if I want to go to heavenly planets, then I do some type of desires. So they are all based on material desires. So those desires. So the sannyasa means he gives up kamya karma. Like the activities that we do to elevate to higher planets, or to get a good son, or educated, highly educated, like that. So these type of activities the sannyasas they give up. But the nitya karma they do. What is that? Getting up in the morning, and they can even do sandhya vandana, they can have to take bath and attend to all the nitya karma, whatever they have to do, that nobody can renounce, they have to do that. But they don't do this kamya karma. Whereas tyaga, people who renounce tyaga, those people they do both activities, but in tyaga they give up the fruits, the desire for which they are doing, that is given up, but they still do both the things. So that is what is this sannyasa means giving up the activities that are based on material desire. So if I have some desires, then I do some activity. So to fulfill that material desire. So those type of activities should be given up. That is what sannyas is. And then tyaga means giving up sarva karma phalatyagam prahustyagam vichakshana. Giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, tyaga. Third verse. Tyajyam doshe vadityeke karma prahur manishinaha yajnadana tapa karma natyajam miti cha pare. Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty. Yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity and penance should never be abandoned. So this is the opinion of some great souls. What is that? Some learned men declare that all fruitive activities should be given up as faulty. Because they think that in fruitive activities what happens is sometimes you will have to do some yajnas, like killing animals in the yajna, like that. So they think that this is an abominable activity, so I shouldn't be doing that. They give up, totally they give up the activities. But it is not like that. But some people, they believe that acts of sacrifice, charity and penance should never be abandoned. Because in the Vedas, there is a prescription that you can still kill the animal, like, to give a new life to that animal so that he can become a human, or even in the animal species only he can get upgrade, get more better animal form like that. So that is why, but some people, Jaimini people, they say that acts of sacrifice, charity and penance should never be given up. But other people, this Sankhya Yoga, Kapila Sankhya Yoga, those people, they think that fruitive activities should be given up as faulty. So anything that we do, that's all faulty, so we should give up that. But yet other people, they maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity and penance should never be abandoned. Because they are also recommended in the Vedas. Actually in the Vedas, there is never a recommendation to eat meat or something like that. So people, they still, because they cannot stop eating meat, so there is some permission given, so that in the sacrifice, the animal is sacrificed, then you eat. Otherwise, what? There is a concession given. There is no actually recommendation is not there. But still people will anyway eat the meat, right? They cannot stop them to eat meat. So at least do them in a proper, sacrificial way, like that, at least if they eat, there is some good thing happening. Otherwise, they will anyway going to eat. So there is no recommendation, but there is some concession because they cannot. So similarly, like that, all these things are there. So here, so some people, they maintain that giving all fruitive activities is is faulty. Yet others say that no, these activities should never be abandoned. So what is Kṛṣṇa's opinion? Let us see. Niṣṭitam śrunu me tatra tyāge bharata sattama tyāgo hi purusha vyagra tri-vidha samprakirtitah. Oh, best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. So Kṛṣṇa is telling, now he is giving his final judgment. Of course, we have heard different opinions of different learned scholars in terms of what is tyaga, what should be renounced, what should not be renounced. But here Kṛṣṇa's judgment is final, his Supreme Lord. Oh, best of the Bharatas, and from him the Vedas are coming. Kṛṣṇa says in 15th chapter, 15th verse, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattah smritir jnanam apohanamscha vedaishcha sarverahameva vedyo vedantakrit veda videva chaham. And seated in everyone's heart from me comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta and the knower of the Vedas. So Kṛṣṇa is telling, oh, best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation, or tiger among men. Renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds. So, this modes of material nature is very, very important to understand, because Kṛṣṇa has concentrated the entire 14th chapter on the modes of material nature. What is Kṛṣṇa telling in that chapter is, the knowledge that I am going to give you is very supreme to all that knowledge that I have already spoken to you. Knowing this, all the great sages have attained supreme perfection. What is that? One who understands this knowledge, they attain the transcendental nature like my own, and at the time of creation they are not born, and at the time of dissolution they they don't take again, they don't come back like that. So this knowledge of these three modes of material nature is very, very supreme knowledge. So that is why Kṛṣṇa is concentrating in Jnana section. Entire 14th chapter is talking about the three modes. And in 17th chapter, more than half of the chapter is about three modes. In 18th chapter, nearly about 1/3 of the chapter is all about the modes. So knowledge of the modes is very, very important for all of us to know. Even in 17th chapter, Arjuna asked, some people, like in 16th chapter, Kṛṣṇa explained about divine and demoniac natures. And in 17th chapter, Arjuna has a doubt in the very first verse. He is asking that some people, they do not follow the scripture, but they worship according to their own imagination. So they are in between. In demoniac natures, they don't follow the scriptures at all. They act very whimsically. So Krishna tells them, to such people, I perpetually cast into the hellish conditions, life after life, like for a long time. So in 17th chapter, Arjuna is in the very beginning, Arjuna is asking, what is the situation of some people who do not follow the principles of scriptures but act according to their own imagination? Are they in mode of goodness, passion or ignorance? Then Krishna is telling, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha tri-vidhaṁ bhavati śraddha dehinām sa svabhavaja satviki rajasi chaiva tamasi chetitam shrunu. Krishna is telling, even the faith is of three kinds. Tri-vidhaṁ bhavati śraddha dehinām sa svabhavaja. According to whatever nature they acquire, their even faith is also in three modes, in mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. Similarly, here Krishna is telling, even renunciation is of three modes, it is in three modes. Krishna is telling here, Nishchayam shrunu me tatra tyage bharata sattama tyago hi purusha vyagra trividha samprakirtitaha. O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds. How important is this knowledge of three modes? Krishna also tells in 18th chapter 48th verse, Natadasti pritivyam va divi deveshu va punaha sattvam prakriti jairmuktam yade bisyatri birgunai. Everywhere in the material world, from the top to bottom, everywhere there is influence of these three modes. Nobody can become free. In 14th chapter, Arjuna asked this question. Krishna, now I heard elaborately you describing about what the three modes are, how they act, how they bind us and how they liberate. Now how to become free from these modes? Then Arjuna asked, he asked that how to become free from modes. Then Krishna tells, Mam chayo vyabhicārena bhakti-yogena sevate sagunān samatityaitān brahma bhūyāya kalpate. One who engages in my pure devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. And also in 7th chapter, Krishna says, Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. This divine energy of mind consisting of three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. So, how to... so, a person who is already bound, he cannot free another person who is also bound, right? The person who is free can unbind the person who is bound, right? A bound person cannot free another person who is bound. A person who is free can free. So similarly, guna means rope. We are all bound by these three modes. So we have to surrender to Krishna through his representative so that we can also become free from these modes. So very important that these three modes, knowledge of three modes. So when did we become associated with these three modes? 14th chapter 5th verse, Krishna says that Sattvam rajastamaiti gunaha prakriti sambhavaha nibadnanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Material nature consists of three modes, goodness, passion and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with material nature, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Many people, they think, oh, what is this in Krishna consciousness? You shouldn't eat tea, you shouldn't drink tea, you shouldn't drink coffee, you shouldn't watch TV, you shouldn't do this. Why so many no's? They should enjoy their life, you know. Life is meant to enjoy. Not to completely not enjoy and become just give up. That's not real life. The more they think they are enjoying, the more the modes are binding them more and more. They don't realize that. They think they are free to do whatever they like. But every action has a reaction. In a 80 speed road, if I go in 100, what will happen? Police will give me a fine, right? A nice clear fine. He'll say, oh, police, I didn't know that there was, it was 80 here. I thought it was 100. Will police say that, no, it's okay. Because you don't know, you don't have to pay the fee? No. Ignorance is no excuse for evading reaction. We are supposed to know that. We are supposed to know. Otherwise, we have to pay the fine. Similarly, the laws of material nature are very stringent. We cannot escape karma. Every action has a reaction. Krishna says that karmano hyapi bodhavyam cha vikarmanah akarmanascha bodhavyam gahana karmano gatihi. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. How, what is action, what is inaction, what is perverted actions, Krishna says that in 4th chapter of Gita. So coming back to this, oh best of us, so Krishna, his final judgment is, renunciation is also of 3 modes. Yagnadana tapa karma netya jam karyameva tad yagnodhanam tapaschaiva pamanani manishinam. So acts of sacrifice, charity and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. So one should not think that these are fruitive activities. If I involve in this, I will get karma like that, no? So acts of sacrifice, charity and penances are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity and penance purify even the great souls. Acts of sacrifice, charity and penance are not to be given up. Why is that? Any activity that will elevate us to Krishna consciousness or bhakti should never be given up. For example, a person might have taken sannyas order. Okay? He is not allowed to intimately associate with any women. He is definitely not allowed to do that. But if his disciple, asks him that he wants him to help him marry, so the guru can look for a suitable boy, and he can also engage himself in vivaha yagna. He can do that marriage for his disciple. So there is nothing wrong. Even though the sannyasi, they don't intimately unite with women or anything, but still to do a vivaha yagna. Why is it important to do marriage in the human society? Why there is a need of vivaha yagna, the sacrifice of marriage? Because the mind is very restless. So for a man, the mind is very restless and it can be very unsettled, you know. But when the marriage is happening, then the mind becomes peaceful. Then he becomes it will be very favorable to take up devotional service in that fixed mind, you know. So that is why for a sannyasi, if he has to do the marriage of his disciple, he should not hesitate to do that, even though he himself is not involving, but doing doing good, because if the disciple is going to advance by marriage, his mind going to become fixed and peaceful, and he can advance in devotional service. That is encouraged. So vivaha yagna is very much recommended. Even though if a sannyasi has to do it, he should not renounce thinking that, oh, this is a fruitive, I am a sannyasi, I shouldn't be doing this. No, even sannyasis, they have to do this. Acts of sacrifice, charity also. When we give charity, our heart gets purified. It's very good. Because we read in the previous chapter, in 17th chapter, Krishna spoke about charities in 3 modes. दातव्यमिति यद्दानं दीयते नुपकारिणे देशे काले च पात्रे च तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतं यत्तु प्रत्युपकारार्थं फलम् उद्दिश्य वा पुनः दीयते च परिक्लिष्टं तद्दानं राजसं स्मृतम् अदेशकाले यद्दानम् अपात्रेभ्यश्च दीयते असत्कृतम् अवज्ञातं तत्तामसमुदाहृतं. So charity should be given at a proper time, proper place, to a proper person. So that like supposing giving charity also, we have to be very, very careful. Sometimes if you give charity to a person who can involve himself in some sinful activity, then we are going to get reaction for that. That is why Krishna specifically is concentrating in a 17th chapter, divisions of faith. What is the sacrifices in 3 modes, austerities in 3 modes, and charities in 3 modes. Everything is nicely, and foods in 3 modes. Food that we eat is also in 3 modes. Ayusattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhana rasya snigdha stira hridya ahara sattvika priya. The mode of goodness, people choose the food that is tasteless, foods that in the mode of goodness, ayu sattva, purify one's existence, give strength, health, happiness and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome and pleasing to the heart. Katvam lalavanatyishna tikshna ruksha vidahinaha ahara rajasasyeshta dukkha shokamaya prada. So foods that are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry and burning are dear to those in the mode of passion. Yatayamam gatarasam puti paryushitam chayat uccishtam api chamedhyam bhojanam tamasa priyam. Food prepared more than 3 hours before being eaten, food that is decomposed, tasteless and putrid are the people, foods for the people in the mode of ignorance. Like that, Kṛṣṇa is very nicely covered foods in 3 modes, austerities in 3 modes, and charities in 3 modes, sacrifices in 3 modes, without expectation of anything in return. That is mode of goodness. So here Kṛṣṇa is telling that acts of charity, sacrifice, charity and penances are not to be given up. Why? Because they must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity and penance purify even the great souls. Anything that purifies our heart and makes us advance in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, such activity should never be renounced. Then 6th chapter. So now Kṛṣṇa told that then etānyapitu karmāṇi sangam tyaktva phalāni ca kartavyāni ti me partha niṣṭitam matamuttamam. So Kṛṣṇa, now just we heard that acts of sacrifice, charity and penance should never be given up. So when you do those activities, when you are involved in those activities, what should be your mood? What should be the mood in which you can do those activities? All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result, without expectation of any result. All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty. O son of Pritha, that is my final opinion. Kṛṣṇa is giving that final opinion on what is that. So, we should do any activity of sacrifice, charity or penance with what mood, what we have to do. All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, because bhakti is built on the platform of duty. Bhakti is built on the platform of duty. That is why when we are very, very duty bound, such people can be very, very favorable to take up bhakti and also transcend also later on. That is my final opinion. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is giving his final opinion about the activity that we do. What is these activities should be done, but with what mood? Without attachment or expectation of any result. So niyatasya tu sannyāsah karmaṇo nopapadyate. So now Kṛṣṇa is telling about in verses 7, 8, 9, he is talking about renunciation in 3 modes. What is that? Niyatasya tu sannyāsah karmaṇo nopapadyate mohat tasya parityagas tamasah parikirtitah. Prescribed duty should never be renounced. Prescribed duty should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So what is that? For example, prescribed duty is that every day I have to cook and offer food to Kṛṣṇa, right? But it is like 45 degrees hot. I should not say, oh, I cannot, it's so hot, I cannot cook, I'm going to put air condition and I'm going to sleep. So this is not very good. Kṛṣṇa says, what's that? And even in the January, okay, in Vrindavan we'll take it January, which is very peak winter, very cold, so much foggy, misty. I think it's really cold. At that time, still we have to wake up early and take bath, and if we want to attend Mangalarti, we should attend Mangalarti, or if you want to do in your house, still we should not think that, oh, it's too cold, I'm going to sleep till 8 o'clock, till, it's going to day, then that's very not good. So, Kṛṣṇa says in 2nd chapter, 14th verse, Matra sparshāstu kaunteya shītoshna sukha dukkhada agamapai no nityāstāṁ stitikshasva bharata. O son of Kunti, what is that? Whether you are in the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. One should not think that I am not going to do. The non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. O scion of Bharata, one must learn to tolerate them and still do it. So why? Because when we do our prescribed duties, follow our religious principles properly, then we can be elevated to knowledge and devotion, and then we can get liberated, because there is so much knowledge there. So we should not renounce such activities. So Kṛṣṇa is telling here, niyatasya tu sannyāsah karmaṇo nopapadyate mohat tasya parityagas tamasah parikirtitah. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Next verse. Dukkhamityeva yat karma kaya klesha bhayat tyajet sakratva rajasam tyāgam naiva tyaga phalam labet. Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. So what is Kṛṣṇa telling? Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome, like Prabhupada says that earning money, you should not think of it's like a fruitive activity and I'm not going to involve. Of course, if I am going to use for my own purpose maybe, but if you are going to use it for Kṛṣṇa service, then that is very much, that's not a fruitive activity. It is a devotional activity, because you are giving the fruits of your activities to Kṛṣṇa. So that is why you should not renounce such prescribed duties thinking that they are troublesome. And fear of bodily discomfort, like also sometimes we have to wake up early in the morning, like just now I told, wake up early in the morning, oh it's bodily very discomfort, oh I have to get up and it's so cold, I have to we should not think like that. So anybody who renounces in that spirit, they are in the mode of passion. Passionate work is always troublesome. From the beginning till the end, it's only troublesome. Like for example, in passionate people, they have so many unlimited desires and longings. To fulfill those desires, we have to slog like a dog, like a donkey. Like, if I want a 10-bedroom house, then I have to take a fat loan, big fat loan. To pay that loan, I have to work daytime, night shifts, this shifts, that shifts, and all the time I have to pay. And I don't have time to enjoy that house also. So passionate work from the beginning till end, there is only misery. There is no enjoyment. That is the illusion, and they think that there is some enjoyment. Chapala sukha labal agire bahur bhajahure mana Sri Nandanandana abhaya charana ravindare. Chapala sukha labal agire. Very momentary. For that, so much, no intelligence, very passionate. At least passion is in one way better than ignorance. Why is that? Why is passion is better than ignorance? Not that passion is best, but it's better than ignorance. Why is that? At least in passion, a person is active. He's active. Like a businessman, he is very active, because he wakes up very early. Not that to come to Mangalarti, to earn make his business very successfully, to find ways and means to travel somewhere to earn more money. So very active, passionate person is very active, because so many desires are there. To do that, he has to work hard. So he is very active. But mode of ignorance, very sleepy. Like, consciousness is going on, but life is very inactive. Very like dull, sleeping too much. So very not good. So that's how the mode of passion. Then mode of ignorance. Karyamityeva yat karma niyatam kriyate Arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva satyaga satviko mataha. O Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duty only because it is out to be done and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness. So when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done, like a duty like that, and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be in the mode of goodness. Prescribed duties must be performed with this mentality. One should act without attachment for the result. He should disassociate with the modes of work. So a person will be working in a factory. So he is going there, he is not associated with the factory, or he is not associated with the work of the factory. He is just working because he has to work. He just doesn't associate with anyone. He just does that work and he comes home. He doesn't associate with the work. He doesn't associate the factory or the people working there. Nothing. He just out to be done, doing and then coming. Like that. That's all. A man working in Kṛṣṇa factory does not associate himself with the work of the factory nor with the workers of the factory. He simply works for Kṛṣṇa because he knows that Kṛṣṇa is the center in his life. Whatever he is going to earn, he wants to give it to Kṛṣṇa. So that way, that's actually bhakti-yoga only. But it may not be a direct devotional service, but his heart is getting purified because he is giving the hard-earned money in the service of Kṛṣṇa. So, but slowly, heart is getting purified. He becomes now, again, after some time, he will become completely renounce the work and he will become full-time devotee in the temple. So, that is the good thing of this. 10th verse. Nadveshtya kushalam karma kushalena tyagi sattva samavishto medhavi chinna samshayaha. The intelligent renouncer situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work or attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about work. So, that person is not attached to auspicious or inauspicious, but is just doing it. Because everything in the material world is actually inauspicious only. And except Kṛṣṇa consciousness activities, everything in the material world, because karma, akarma, vikarma. Akarma is only best. Karma and vikarma, they both are, in a broader sense, vikarma is worst and karma is better. But in a broader sense, everything is vikarma only in the material world. They are all in the material realm. So they are all not recommended only. So next verse. Nahi deha brita shakyam tektam karmanya sheshatah yastu karma phalatyāgi satyāgītyabhidhīyate. It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities. But he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who is truly renounced. What is Kṛṣṇa telling? It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities. Just now I told you. What did I tell you? The nature of the soul is to be active. He has to act. He cannot not act. Because the nature of the soul is to be active. Even when we are sleeping, we are dreaming So we are always active by nature. We cannot be inactive. So that is why here Kṛṣṇa is telling it is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities. But he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who is truly renounced. Not the person who gives up the activity, but who does activity in a renounced mood. He is real sannyas. He is actually sannyasi. Because he is acting, because nature of the soul is to be active. In the 5th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, what is 5th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita entitled? Karma Yoga, Action in Kṛṣṇa Consciousness. So action in Kṛṣṇa consciousness doesn't mean that go to some place and retire and sit in a secluded place. Of course, when you are purified by doing all prescribed duties, of course, then that is another stage called jnana, they become like that. But initially Kṛṣṇa says that karmaṇevādhikāraste mā phaleshu kadāchana mā karma phala heturbhur mā te sangosva karmani. Kṛṣṇa told to Arjuna, you are telling you want to go to forest. You are better off going to forest because you are qualified. But people, they'll follow your example because they don't consider whether they are qualified or not. Because you are a great person, they want to follow your example. That is why he says karmanye, your adhikar is at this point in time is for karma, not for renouncing. So he is telling karmaṇevādhikāraste mā phaleshu. You have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities and never be attached to not doing your duty. Is that clear? Is pinning that point, right? He is saying that karmaṇevādhikāraste, you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. And never consider yourself the cause of the results of your activities and never be attached to not doing your duty. That is the mood in which we have to do. Our adhikar at this point in time is for karma, not for jnana. So Kṛṣṇa is telling to Arjuna, Arjuna, you are better qualified. You are qualified to go to forest, but you have to remember one thing, yeah? People will follow your example because your heart is purified, you go. But not everybody's heart is purified. But they think that, oh, Arjuna did that, let me also do that. They'll go. So that is why Yadyadacharati shreshtas tatta devetaro jana sayat pramanam kurute lokastad dhanuvartate. Whatever action great man performs, common men follow. Whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. That is why a great person should be very careful what he is doing, because common men will follow. So coming to our today's last verse, aniṣṭam iṣṭam miśram cha tri-vidhaṁ karmaṇaḥ phalam bhavati atyāgināṁ pretya natu sannyāsinām kvacit. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy. People who are not renounced, they have to accrue this fruits of action, like, they may either go to heavenly planets, desirable, undesirable, they may go to hellish planets, or mixed. They can live on the earthly planet here, like that. Accrue after death. Kṛṣṇa says in 14th chapter, 18th verse, Urdhvam gacchanti sattvasta madhye tishtanti rajasa jaganya guna vrittista ado gacchanti tamasa. Those who are in the mode of goodness, they go to the higher planets. Those who die in the mode of goodness, they go to the higher planets. Those who die in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets. Those who die in the mode of ignorance, they go down to the hellish worlds. So like that. So here, a person in Kṛṣṇa consciousness acting in knowledge of his relationship with Kṛṣṇa is always liberated, because he knows that he is part and parcel of Kṛṣṇa, and his duties, jivera swarupohe Kṛṣṇera nityadas. He is engaged in Kṛṣṇa's service. As long as we are engaged in Kṛṣṇa's service, we are in liberated. That's why our mind, body and words are engaged in Kṛṣṇa's service. We are always in a liberated condition. Therefore, he does not have to enjoy or suffer the results of his acts after death. Om Tat Sat. Thank you all very much. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Hope it made sense, whatever spoke. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Thank you.